All right, so welcome, and we will start off with an introductory slideshow, and then we'll take it from there. All right. I have to get all this screen share set up. It says it's not responding. As any of you know who've seen a number of these, sometimes there's okay. I wonder why screen shares pause. I'm going to stop the share and start over. Oh, resume share. I can resume share. I'm going to stop it and start over again. Okay. Let's start again. Screen share. All right. We got it. Here we go. Welcome to Karen Ryce's Raising Happy Kids Zoom show, episode 77. The One Rule in Action. Let's, okay. Now, I learned how to move this little bar at the bottom. I'm going to see if it's going to work. Well, right now I'm going to have to wait. I am going to have to, I arranged to have my computer work faster, and that will happen, I think, starting tomorrow. Yeah. So next week we shouldn't have problems like this. Wonder. Now it's paused it again. Okay, let's try again, because this is what I've planned for the start. I'm going to give it one more try. If it doesn't, oh, there it is in the back. Let's see. Let's see if that's going to let me do it. Okay, now let me try. I think this is what I can do. Let's see if that works. Okay, so we did this slide already. I welcomed you. Whoops. Okay. During this 1-hour Zoom show, I focus on sharing tips and lessons on the one rule to raising happy kids. Each episode has at least one example of the one rule in action, demonstrating how it helps you raise a happy child. Then, when we have guests, we have Q&A and discussion. When I talk about raising happy kids or creating harmony with kids, I bring up the one rule. The one rule equals agreement. Agreement equals harmony. Using the one rule means you find agreement. That's the rule. You find a solution that everyone likes. You found agreement. You found harmony. Knowing and following the one rule is all you really need to create harmony between you and your kids. In any situation where there are differences that might lead to conflict between you and your kids, use the one rule. I learned this strategy from 3-year-old children. I was teaching them a complex conflict resolution strategy, actually intended for adults, and they taught me this. So don't think you're in for a rough time. It's simple, it's easy, it's powerful and effective. It works if you use it. The one rule starts strong. You have decided that you really want harmony with your child. That sounds so good, right? Everyone feeling good and getting along. Uh-oh. You have decided that you do not want to make your child do what they do not want to do. And you do not want to do what you do not want to do. And you are going to make this work. You've decided that you want to use the one rule to make this happen. This is going to become your new habit. Okay, I'm going to see if I can shift this down to the bottom and if that will make a difference, a good difference. We'll see. You remember that when you use the one rule, you are sharing the following messages with your kids. I want us all to be happy. We are each important. Together we can solve our problems. I believe in you. I love you. To create this new habit, you are going to start with yourself and what you want. You decide that you are going to let how you feel about a situation determine whether you agree with it or not. If it feels good, then you can agree with it. If not, you cannot. Ask yourself, is this situation, whatever situation you're thinking of, okay with me just as it is? If yes, good. If no, what would have to change, be different, so that I could feel good about it? Maybe several versions of this situation would feel fine with you. Maybe only one. This exercise, this practice, helps you make a habit of following the one rule. No matter what age your kids are, this exercise helps ensure a strong start and makes following the one rule so much easier. Here is something that might make following the one rule even easier. Recently, I asked myself a question. What do I want people to feel when they are connecting with my work? I definitely want them to feel good about themselves. Then the following answer appeared, to my surprise and delight. I want people to realize that they are already using the one rule. That understanding surprised me, and as more and more of it was revealed to me, it delighted me. Of course, people are already using the one rule. I am not teaching them anything they don't know. I'm not teaching them anything strange to them. I'm just helping them expand their use of something they use daily without thinking about it. They use it. You use it. Every time you come to a decision inside of yourself, you're using the one rule. Most likely you had to consider several options or possibilities to reach that decision, even if it just took you a few seconds for you to agree with yourself. That is what I want. You also use the one rule whenever you agree with someone else. Together you come to a decision, an agreement. Yes, tomorrow I'll go to the auto parts store after I get my nails done. Even with your kids, you're using the one rule. You're coming to agreements. Think about it. Of course you are. You are just not thinking of it as a rule, as something required. So at times, you are not coming to agreement. I'm here to help you think of coming to agreement as required, as a rule, as the one rule. You just expand the situations where you come to agreement until coming to agreement is just what you do and your kids do. It is the rule you and your kids follow. When you use the one rule, you are creating harmony. Your kids are creating harmony. You are becoming used to creating harmony, familiar with how good it feels to everyone involved. One point to be clear on is that even if a situation seems complicated and it seems that it is impossible to find a solution that everyone involved can still feel good about, it is still possible. The important thing to remember is that there is a way for things to work so that everyone involved gets to feel good. Keep that in mind. This has been my experience whenever I have made this effort. When you actually start working with your kids using the one rule, helping them follow their interests is one of the easiest ways for you to start. You can understand that, right? It is also one of the most beneficial things you can do for your kids. Why is it good for your kids to do what interests them? One primary reason is that their interest is a key to helping them become the best versions of themselves that they can become. When we do what interests us, we are very engaged and focused. Think about doing something that interests you. When we are engaged and focused, what we do and produce tends to be of much better quality than if we were not interested. Interest helps result in excellence. An even more important result of being engaged and focused is that our whole being is involved in what interests us. That is why we are engaged and focused. We are experiencing harmony, inner harmony. That is a good reason to allow and encourage our kids to do what they are interested in doing. I have observed children doing what really interests them, and they become peaceful, harmonious people, even if they were not before. Now, it does not mean that everything that interests our kids is going to always interest them. They may be interested for 10 minutes or 10 hours or 10 days or 10 years or even a lifetime. The point is following their interests, not the specific thing or experience that interests them. So if they ask for your help, please help your kids follow their interests. If for any reason you really do not want to do what they are asking you to do, that is a perfect time to use the one rule. Another reason for helping your kids follow their interests is one that is taking care of you too. When they are eager to do something, instead of resisting doing it, you do not have to encourage them to do it or insist that they do it, let alone force them to do it. Think of how much of your time and energy could be available for you to use as you wish. Helping them follow their interests is actually the one rule in action, taking care of you and your kids. I am glad you are here. Okay. Oh, good. They automatically stopped the screen share. That's pretty cool. That's never happened before. Okay. I'm going to try something today. Let's see. Let me pull this up first. Okay. I wanted to I'm getting up to, all right. I wanted to look at situations and how the one rule can help resolve them. So I thought just for my ease, and hopefully you will find it interesting also. A number of years ago, many years ago actually, I had a newspaper column in a local newspaper, and it was called The Power of Respect. And people in the area would ask me questions that I could answer in the newspaper. And it was how to keep a respectful relationship with your children. And actually, it fits in perfectly with the one rule. So I thought I would take a look at some of these actual questions that people asked me. and look at it from the point of view of one rule. Okay. All right. The first question, I thought it looked like it made sense to deal with them. Let's see. Let's do another screen share here. Oh, wait, not that. Okay, here. All right. I'm going to share the columns. I have made it into kind of ebook format. Actually, it was an ebook in another. Okay. All right. So the question from the first question that I guess I dealt with is, what do you do when your child is whining and throwing a tantrum? So what I'm thinking to do right now is I'm going to read through this, and then I will comment as we go through. If I feel there's something else or something different I would like to share with you. And at the end of all of these, there were several options. And so maybe we can do something with that. We'll see. When people whine or throw tantrums, they are only doing their best to get their needs met. Like many unpleasant situations, it is better to prevent this type of behavior than to try to stop it once it is already happening. Well, I'm not sure that is what I wanted to share. There are, let's see. It might work. Let's give it a try. When your child is very young, like 2 or 3, you can do this by paying attention to your child the first time, or even the second time she asks a question. When you ignore or only pretend to pay attention while you're really doing something else, your child escalates her behavior. If asking does not get your attention, pulling on your clothes might. If that does not, maybe whining will. If that doesn't, maybe crying or maybe throwing a tantrum. A very young child has not yet developed her ability to be patient to any great extent. She can develop patience more easily if she is confident that when she needs your attention, you give it. I'm not saying that you must agree to every request or answer every question right at that moment, if that is not agreeable to you. However, if you make the extra effort when he is young, you might avoid years of dealing with whining and tantrums. If your child has often had to resort to whining or even tantrums to get your attention, eventually he gives up on the preliminary attempts of asking and goes right into whining or a tantrum. Isn't that what any intelligent person does? He does what works. if you forget to give attention promptly or are not able to, and you hear the whine start to enter his voice, take your cue, give him attention right away, even apologize. I'm sorry, I couldn't pay attention to you. What do you want? When you are talking with a child, it helps if you put yourself at eye level with her. Squat down if necessary. If your child is older and has already established the habit of whining or having tantrums to try to get his needs met, it can be very helpful to discuss this with him. Arrange to talk about this sometime when he isn't whining or having a tantrum and you're both feeling good. Explain to your child that all you want to do in this talk is to come to some agreement between you that you both feel good about. Wow, even way back then, there's the one rule popping up, only it didn't have a name. Well, it sort of did. The power of respect, I guess, is what, but I like the one rule. During your talk, make sure that your communications are clear. Check it out. Has your child understood what you meant? Have you accurately understood what your child means? Do you understand that I mean every day? Does that mean that you want me to take you anytime you want to go? Then I recommend they brainstorm for solutions, which is a possibility, definitely a possibility, but it can also happen as it does now in the one rule, which is you just, well, it's kind of like brainstorming, but it's not exactly like it. And you don't have to write down all the possible solutions and decide what you like. Because what I have found is that people figure out what they like really quickly. Once they hear it, they know it. It's like, yeah, that's it. And if it's not for one of the people, they can say, well, that doesn't really work for me, or whatever their particular words are. So here's what I suggested as possible solutions. And I noticed I went back and forth, and in those days, there was, this was a long time ago, even though it's interesting, most of the things that I write about in this book, they're ongoing in terms of causing problems for people in their lives, or problems, confusion, conflicts. So even though this was a long time ago, these kinds of things still happen. So these were suggestions. And the thing is that it goes back to what that said about finding agreement, what feels good to you. So this is what feels good to everyone involved. So one parent, or maybe many parents, would like this, that you set up something so that when she wants your attention, she taps you on the shoulder and waits. You look at her, nod your head, and pay attention to her as soon as you can. Now that can be set up. In fact, I know where something like that with one person that I coached, she and her daughter set up something like this. And that came from them, from figuring out between them how the daughter can get attention in a way that the mother feels good about when she's busy, because she was working from home. And so that's one possible solution. Another one might be that she agrees to do her best not to whine. And when she whines, you'll ask her not to whine, but you'll still pay attention as soon as you can. And you can let her know about this, make this clear. And if that works for her, she feels good, then, and you feel good, then that's your solution. Okay. Then here's one other thing. This was a little final note. Another thing to consider: listen to your self-talk and the other significant people in your child's life. His father, big sister, any whining there? Remember, children use the people who are important to them as models for their behavior. So, okay, here's another question, and I'm sure the same kind of thing still happens. Especially now that people are going out to go to work and going to school and things like that. Maybe you have to take children to a daycare situation, which is now happening again. So what do you do when you have 3 children, ages 2, 4, and 7, and you have to get out of the house in the morning? Oh, here's another preparation thing. This is one of the many parenting situations where preparation can be effective. Choose a time when you and the children are relaxed and not under time pressures. Tell your children that you want to have a meeting with them about getting out of the house on time in the morning, and you want all of you to feel good. Now you can just say, hopefully you will have introduced the one rule, or this might be the way you introduce the one rule. And the one rule is really that whatever you come up with, you all feel good about. And one thing that I didn't have in the introduction, and I think I'm going to add it, is when the origin, let's say, the origin of the one rule, no, the origin of what evolved into the one rule, because that's only been in the past couple of years or so, the name of the one rule, the concept of the one rule. But it started long, long ago. And one of the very important parts of it came out of something that I said to the first children I was working with on this, on what became this. Actually, I learned it from how they dealt with this. And that was that they were each important. And if it had involved me, then I would say we are each important. And we each deserve to have things that feel good to us. And we can find a way to make that happen. Those three things, I think I'm going to add that to, in fact, I know I'm going to add that to the introductory slideshow, because those things are really important. Okay. Now back to the question about getting out of the house in the morning. And having a meeting about it, which you could do for sure, have a meeting. It could be spontaneous also, you don't have to set it up. Make sure that the time that you choose for the meeting is also agreeable to all of you. And this was a time when I was doing the brainstorming and writing everything down, and but I learned from the children that is not necessary. It's not wrong. You can do it, certainly. And with adults, maybe it would work out better. But with children, just being spontaneous works great. So here are some possible solutions to ease the morning stress. The night before, everyone chooses the clothes they're going to wear the next day. If someone is not dressed and it's time to leave, they get dressed in the car. Now, these all are, everyone involved has to agree to. Now, the two-year-old might be too young to know about how things are going to work the next day, but the 4-year-old for sure, 7-year-old definitely. And okay, in that case, let's say the 2-year-old is not ready, then it's like, quick, out to the car and bring the clothes. We'll help you get dressed in the car. Okay, well, when it comes to the actual what's happening, there can be more complications. Hopefully there won't be. But especially with a 2-year-old, that's a particularly can be intense time. At that point, the child is going from babyhood to childhood, and they are getting a lot of things in place. They are one of the most difficult for everyone, themselves included at times, mostly because other people don't always agree with their choices. They are developing their willpower, so they have to practice wanting things and successfully getting them. That's their inner directed work. They want what their intelligence or their desire or something in whatever sparks our wantings. They have to practice this. They have to practice wanting something and then figuring out how to get it. So in terms of the 2-year-old, it's really helpful if this can all be done in a way that includes them and includes understanding, everybody understanding what this person is doing, that they are working intensely all the time during this window that's open for them to develop their willpower. This is the optimum time for it. I don't believe that we have to be limited that way, but as far as I can see and have learned, this is an optimum time for that. And that's why it's so intense, because everything in them is doing this. So if we can work with it instead of against it, and working with it means that if they are in the middle of being determined, being committed, because those are both things that happen when we want something and we are trying to get it. If they are in the middle of that, it's going to be more difficult to have them do anything else. So it's important if everyone in the family is aware of this and takes it into account in terms of keeping harmony. Okay, so let's go on and see what other ideas came up. This was about getting dressed in the car. If it's time to leave and someone has not finished breakfast, they can take it along and eat in the car, or when they get to where they're going. No one plays with toys or the kittens or looks at books or TV until they're ready to leave. Write down exactly what being ready means. After someone is ready, they offer to help the others. Everyone gets up 15 minutes earlier. You all decide that it doesn't matter if you're late. The children in school get rides with other people. So these are all possible ways of finding a harmonious solution, a solution that everybody can agree with. And I hope you understand now a little bit about the difficulties for the 2-year-old and therefore for everyone else. If they are in the middle of being determined and committed, those are very important abilities to have in our toolkit. Okay. The key to success is finding solutions that are agreeable to everyone involved. Then no one feels they are being imposed upon or taken advantage of. everyone feels empowered to make it work. Oh, I talk about this. Huh. This may not make a lot of sense to your 2-year-old, but invite her to participate as much as her interest and ability allows. Explain the group plan to her. Plan. Help her participate. Encourage her to choose her clothes the night before if that is something you all decide to do. Realize that the plan may not come off smoothly the first, second, or even third time. It's not unusual to have to work the bugs out. Modify the plan until it works for your family. In case you do have an occasional stressful morning, have a plan to help you stay as calm as possible. Stressing is not going to move things along. Take some slow, deep breaths or ground yourself and center yourself. Put on some music which both soothes you and moves things along. Ask for help from your family, friends, neighbors. Seek your inner guidance, and you might just get the answer you need at that moment. Maybe someone can come and help. Maybe you can call and let people know you are running late, but that you are coming. Remember, it may not be the way you like it to be, but it is not the end of the world. Keep the big picture in mind. You're all okay, just a little late. Okay. That made me think of something else. I'm going to see if I can, if I can go there. And share it with you. Let's see. Because when I was looking at what I set up last week, which I did not end up sharing because I had a guest. And so we discussed. All right. I'm going to stop this share because it didn't let me share the other thing I thought of sharing. And I'm going to see about here. Okay, let's see if this works easily. Now, why does it do this? I don't understand. Resume share. Okay, let's see if I get this going. I'll see if it'll let me do this. It says screen sharing is paused. Let's try again. Wait, let's see. Maybe if I put it already in this, oh no, that's not gonna work. Let's try again. I don't know why the screen share is giving me trouble today. It doesn't want to share this. All right. We won't stop the share. Okay. I'm gonna go back to, oh, I wonder if I can do that. I wonder. Let's see. I'm going to see, not that, yes, that. I'm going to see if I can share the new website with you. I'll be launching soon. Okay. Now let's try screen sharing this. Well, it's working. It's working. Okay. This is the first page of the new website. And pretty much the entire focus is on the one rule, because we are each important. Now let's see if I have everything here. Okay. This is on the first page where you can sign up to join the mailing list. And when you do, I give you a copy of my latest book, the whole thing, which also about half of it is a training on the one rule. And all you have to do is go to www, I think you have to put that. But anyway, you do have to put happykidsco.org. I had to change my website, and so .org is what it is now. It was .com, and you can still go there. And I have links from this one to that one, especially if you join the member site, then you get to see a lot more than if you just go there. Now I wanted to show you, okay, it has a link to my main blog, which then links to my other blogs. It has a link to YouTube videos. There are lots of those. There are, anyway, and to podcast, and to the endorsements if you want to take a look at what other people think about all this. Of course, how to contact me. And this is the homepage. Now I want to share this offer. It was going to be $1, but the it's going to be $1.99 to subscribe to the member site. And you'll see these boxes. That is if an affiliate has recommended us so that they can get paid their 50%. That's why it went up to, well, that's part of the reason it went up to $1.99 from $1. So let's see. This is the one rule creates peace. Imagine all of you and each of you making choices that bring respect, peace, harmony into your lives. This is what the one rule brings when you use it. You feel the stress and tension fade away as you find an agreeable solution, a solution that you're all glad about, that feels good to each of you. Use the one rule and find this for yourself and your family so that our kids get to live in harmony. There is a so that our kids get to live in harmony. There is a section for educators. That's another important place that they spend time. So here's another way to join. And here's an offer. If you join for a whole year, you pay less than you will a little bit. And there's the box for the affiliate. And if you ever want to stop, just have to email me, let me know. And if you know you want to join, but you'd prefer a scholarship, email me again. It's yours. And here is the starting. I didn't show you the different groups, but the Harmonious Fathers group is already set up. The Harmonious Father program, because the group is one of the things that happens for the Harmonious Fathers, with weekly Zoom calls. And this is oh dear, I have to check that out. This is a VIP possibility, and I'm working on the others. Let's see. Educators, miracle workers, and affiliates. This is the one that I was working on last. And there's another one just generally on the one rule that's going to be included in here. Let's see. Let's go back to the home page. Okay. I just want to show you. These are the programs that are going to be there, plus just the one rule in general. Well, it is time to go. Thanks for being here. I wish you a great week. See you next week.